some help? Oh, is there another one?
Yeah.
I'll grab this one. Just flag us down if you need it.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Carol Villaverde, and I am a member of the board here at TVUUC. On behalf of the board and the program council, it is my honor to welcome you to this morning's service. Whether you are here in the building or watching online, you are welcome here. If everybody could wave to the camera and welcome our folks that are not with us in person, but with us online. So whoever you are, wherever you are from, and wherever you are on your journey, you are welcome here. All of who you are is sacred, and all of who you are is welcome. If you would like more information on our church, please fill out the visitor card in the pocket in front of you or visit our website, tvuuc.org, and select Stay in Touch. If you are visiting us with small children, we invite you to sit up front where it is easier for your little ones to see what is going on. Please don't feel that you must keep them still. All are welcome here, wiggles and giggles and all. If you do need to step out with your child for a moment, the E.E. Cummings room is a glassed enclosed room at the back of the sanctuary where you can still see and hear the service. It's in the back corner. It is there for your family's comfort, but please do not feel obligated to use it. We understand that silence is never completely silent. If you are interested in classes for your children here at TVUUC, please visit our RE classrooms after the service, which are down the hallway past the fellowship hall and the kitchen. So if you just keep going down the hallway, you'll see the RE classrooms, and an RE leader will be there to answer questions. You can also find more information on our website. We have just a couple of announcements this morning. The TVUUC Worship Service Group is kicking off back-to-school supply days for students and teachers for Lonsdale Elementary School, Norwood Elementary School, and the TVUUC LRE. School supplies are to be dropped off at the church office. Suggested school supplies to donate are on display on the hall bulletin board, advertised on Facebook, and in the TVUUC newsletter. The bulletin boards are located along the hallway heading towards the RE wing. The worship service, TVUC has a long-time volunteer support system with Lonsdale, and your support is greatly appreciated. And we also have special music on that Sunday featuring joy. The worship service group is also sponsoring the August 3rd First Sunday Lunch, and all are welcome to support with your delicious lunchbox foods and physical volunteer service with Let's Connect. Your support is appreciated. One other announcement, and that is that this evening, the Americans United for Separation of Church and State and other groups are hosting a free lecture, reception, and book signing with Catherine Stewart, author of Money, Lies, and God, here at TVUUC. The talk begins at 7 p.m., followed by a short reception. These announcements and others can be found in your order of service. Today is a Share the Plate Sunday for Knox Pride, And to tell you more about what this means and how to give is Mark Mahundro.
Good morning. My name is Mark Mahundro, and I work for the church. I'm the prospective new member coordinator and outreach. Today is a Share the Plate offering Sunday, with all contributions not being marked as a pledge, being split between our Share the Plate organization for today, Knox Pride, and the general operating budget of TVUUC is where the money will be split from. There are several ways to give. Checks or cash in the offering basket when it is passed during the service. Other ways are listed in the order of service. And those include, you can do it by check, mailing it to the church, donate securely online at tvuuc.org/give. You can also give a gift by text message, sending TVUUC and the amount to 73256. And now to tell us a little bit more about Knox Pride, here's Lindsay Hickson.
Good morning. Most of you know Knox Pride is the organization that hosts the annual Pride Festival at World's Fair Park and organizes the Pride Parade down Gay Street. But they are so much more. The Knox Pride Food Pantry serves as a crucial resource, providing essential groceries for those facing food insecurities. Knox Pride also offers life skill classes, empowering community members with practical knowledge that can lead to greater independence and self-sufficiency. These classes cover topics from personal finance to auto maintenance and job readiness. The Homeless Outreach Program at Knox Pride addresses the urgent needs of LGBTQ+ individuals who have been displaced from housing by connecting them with resources and services to help them secure safe housing and stable livelihoods. The Knox Pride Thriftique is a community closet that provides free clothing from casual to business wear for the community. So if someone has a job interview coming up, they can go and get something nice to wear for free to go to their job interview. The Community Grant Program provides funds to the queer community who are experiencing financial hardships or systemic restrictions. And of course, Knox Pride offers lots of fun events and social gatherings to provide a safe space for the LGBTQ community to find their people and feel connected in a time where it's so easy to feel alone. So please give generously. The support of our friends and allies is even more important now in today's political environment. Organizations like Knox Pride cannot be allowed to fail. I invite everyone to follow Knox Pride across all of your social media platforms and support them throughout the year by attending their events, donating to their food pantry, and volunteering your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark and Lynn. After the service, please join us for coffee and conversation in the fellowship hall. If you are visiting and would like a tour of the building or have questions about our church, look for me there and I will be glad to chat and show you around. Please join me in showing some gratitude for John Coffey, who's leading our worship service today. Before we begin the service, I would like to share these words of welcome. All are welcome here, and I'm so glad to see each of you today. And now, if you have not already done so, please silence any electronic devices as we enter worship together.
Good morning. My name is Suzanne Brown. I am a member here at TVUUC, and I will be serving as worship associate for today's service. Our speaker this morning is our own affiliated community minister, John Coffey. John has been a part of TVUUC for over 10 years. He lives here in Knoxville with his husband, Keith, and their 2 cats, Memphis and Ganymede. In his primary work with Tennessee Donor Services, John supports families through profound moments of grief and generosity. When he's not at work, John recharges by reading sci-fi and fantasy, gardening, exercising, and collecting Pokemon cards. Our opening words this morning is a reading that comes from the poet Andrea Gibson, whose voice we sadly lost this week to cancer. Their words are a powerful reminder that being true to ourselves is not selfish, but is instead a necessary healing balm we offer both to our own spirit and to the world. You will never make anybody's life better by agreeing to not be yourself. Denying who you are will never bring any other person true peace, though it may not seem so from the outside. Every soul in the universe is invested in every other soul living in line with their truth. Therefore, anyone asking you to live in opposition to your essence, to who you really are, is not speaking from their soul. They are speaking from their learned biases, hatreds, and fears. So, to be you is not only to be the guardian of your own spirit, but also to be the guardian of the spirits of those who mistakenly think their lives would be better if you would agree to be someone other than who you are. Come, let us worship together.
The story for all ages this morning is adapted from a Tumblr post, but it's a very beautiful story. There once was a farmer named Arepo. He was just a modest farmer, not really famous, not really special. And one day, while he was tending to his field, he got done a little early, and he noticed a tree with some stones sitting beneath it. And so he decided to take the little stones and build a small altar. He said, I don't know what kind of God is going to move in, but I like this small form of worship. So for 2 days, he would come to his altar, sit in silence, give a couple shafts of wheat as his offering, and then go about his work. A few days later, a god moved in. It was a little tiny god, unassuming. But the god went inside the little shelter, rattled around, and said, "This is pretty nice, but you shouldn't worship me. You should go to a temple in the city." Its voice was like the rustling wheat, like squeaks of field mice running through the grass. "You should go to a real temple," the god said, "a good one. Get some real gods to bless you." I'm not one so much myself, but I might be able to put in a good word. With that, it plucked a leaf from the tree and sighed. I don't mean to be rude. I like this temple. It's cozy enough, and the worship's been nice, but you can't honestly believe that any of this is going to bring you anything or make any kind of difference. Arepo smiled, and he said, this was more than I was expecting when I built it. So laying down his tools and lowering himself to the ground, he whispered to the god, tell me, what sort of God are you anyway? Finally, it thought for a minute, and finally it said, I am the God of fallen leaves. I am the worms that churn beneath the earth. I am the boundary of the forest and of field, the first hint of frost before the snow falls, the skin of an apple as it yields beneath your teeth. I am the God of a dozen different nothings, scraps that lead to rot, momentary glimpses, a change in the air, and then it's gone. The god heaved another sigh, and it said, there's no point in worshiping that. Not like worshiping the storm or the harvest or the war. Those are real gods. Save your prayers for things beyond your control, good farmer. You're so tiny in the world. You're so vulnerable. It's best to pray for things greater than me. Arepo plucked a stalk of wheat and flattened it beneath his teeth, and chewing on it a little bit, he said, I like this kind of worship just fine. So if you don't mind, I think I'll continue. Do what you will, said the god, but don't say I didn't warn you. So every day, Arepo would say a prayer before his morning walk, and he and the god would contemplate the trees in silence. Days passed like that, and weeks, and then one day, the sky grew dark, and a terrible storm rolled in. It was black and bold and blustering. It flooded Arepo's fields. It shook the tiles from his roof. It smote his olive trees, and it set to cinder the trees of the forest. The next day, Arepo and his family walked among the wheat. They salvaged what they could. The little temple had been strewn across the field by the wind and storm. So when the work was done for the day, Arepo gathered the stones and pieced them back together. Useless work, the god said. But he came creeping back inside the temple nonetheless. There wasn't a thing I could do to spare you from this storm. We'll be fine, said Arepo. The storm's blown over, we'll rebuild. I don't have much of an offering today, but I think I'll shore up this thing's foundation tomorrow. How about that? The god rattled around a little bit in the temple and sighed. A year passed, and then another, and then another, and Arepo kept up his tending to the temple, so that it became a temple that had layered walls of stone, a roof of woven twigs. Arepo's neighbors would chuckle when they walked past it. Silly Arepo. Some of the children would leave fruits and flowers. And then, one year, the harvest failed. The gods withdrew their bounty. In Arepo's field, the wheat sprouted thin and brittle and shriveled and dried. People wailed and tore their robes. They cried out to their gods. Arepo came to his own temple and sat by it in quiet. The flowers had wilted. The fruit was long gone. Arepo's ribs were showing through his chest, his hands still shaking, and he murmured out a prayer. There's nothing here for you, said the god, huddling in the dark. There's nothing I can do. There was nothing that could be done. Your people are starving. What is a temple but another burden to you? Arepo said, his voice wavering, so it's a lean year. We've gone through this before. We'll get through this again. So we're hungry, he said. We've still got each other, don't we? And a lot of people prayed to other gods, but it didn't protect them from the storm, from the harvest. No, he said. No, I think I like our arrangement just fine. There will come worse, said the god from the hollows of stone, and there will be nothing I can do to save you. I like our arrangement just fine, Arepo repeated. The years passed. Arepo rested a wrinkled hand upon the temple of stone, and some days he would spend as much as an hour there, lost in contemplation with his God of little nothings. Then one day, from across the seas came war. War ravaged the land. It destroyed entire villages. People lost their lives. People lost their loved ones. They lost their homes. They lost their fields. And Arepo was not spared from the ravages of war. It took everything from him. And as he came to his temple, drawing what he thought would be his final breaths, the God whispered to him, "I could not save them. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I could not save them." The leaves fell burning from the trees, a soft rain of ash. "I have done nothing for you, Arepo. All these years I have done nothing. I could not do anything." "Shush," Arepo said. He propped himself up against the temple, his forehead pressed against the stone in prayer. "Tell me again," he mumbled. "Tell me again what sort of God you are." "I," said the God, and he reached out, cradling Arepo's head, and he closed his eyes and spoke. "I am the God of fallen leaves," and it conjured up the image of them. "I am the worms that churn beneath the earth, the boundary of the forest and field, the first hint of frost before the first snow falls, the skin of an apple as it yields beneath your teeth." And Arepo's lips parted in a smile. The God continued, "I am the God of a dozen different nothings, the petals in bloom that lead to rot, the momentary glimpses, a change in the air." And its voice broke and it wept. "Before it's gone," it said. In his final words, Arepo said, "Beautiful. All of them. They were all so beautiful." And that is the story of Arepo's God of small things. Yeah, okay. I invite you to rise now in body or spirit and join us in singing our next hymn and the inspiration for this service. Hymn number 1045 in the Teal Hymnal, "There is a Balm in Gilead."
To make the wounded whole. Good morning and welcome to everyone here at the church and to everyone watching the live stream. The family of Linda Randolph is sad to share that following a diagnosis of cancer and various treatments to relieve symptoms, she entered hospice care last Saturday. She had visits from many friends and tender support from her sons and brother, and she passed away comfortably at home on Tuesday afternoon, surrounded by her loved ones. A celebration of life will be scheduled in the near future. On a personal note, my very good friend of many years, Mark Large, is currently coping with prostate cancer, something I know a little bit about. He has a consult with his physician tomorrow as he decides which treatment options to pursue. I ask each of you to send some good vibes his way in the general direction of Pigeon Forge. Although you may not know him, if you did, you would love him as I do. He's like a brother to me. On a lighter note, yesterday I found what appears to be a newly hatched eastern box turtle on the entryway leading up to the front doors. After communicating with people who have forgotten more about box turtles than I will ever know, it was decided to place the turtle in the welcome garden where, hopefully, it will live a long life. If and when I see him or her again, I'll let you know. As of yesterday, it was about that big. Yeah, it was a little thing. I would be stretching the truth a bit to say it was 2 inches long. I may not be very knowledgeable when it comes to turtles, but I have a soft spot in my heart for them. This morning we welcome Michael and McKenna Mahundro. They're here from Louisiana to visit with Ed and Carolyn, and of course Mark. We also welcome Elena Jimenez. She is here from Chicago visiting John and Keith. And while I'm on the subject of John, I love this guy. Okay, not in the same way Keith does, admittedly, but still. So to everyone with joys and concerns, both those shared and those unspoken, we send you love and we send you light.
This is a reading from Inciting Joy by Ross Gay. It is a fantasy to imagine any emotion discrete from any other. But it strikes me as a particularly dangerous fantasy that because we often think of joy as meaning without pain or without sorrow, not only is it sometimes considered unserious or frivolous to talk about joy, i.e., but there's so much pain in the world. But this definition also suggests that someone might be able to live without heartbreak or sorrow. But what happens if joy is not separate from pain? What if joy and pain are fundamentally tangled up with one another? Or even more to the point, What if joy is not only entangled with pain or suffering or sorrow, but is also what emerges from how we care for each other through those things? What if joy, instead of refuge or relief from heartbreak, is what effloresces from us as we help each other carry our heartbreaks? Which is to say, what if joy needs sorrow for its existence?
As mentioned earlier, our offering this Sunday is split with Knox Pride. As we enter into our time of generosity, our music this morning is There's a Whole Lot of Heaven by Iris DeMint. This song reminds us that our offering is a direct investment in the joy, care, and healing we create together in this community. Let us give freely in that spirit. For our reflection this morning, I invited somebody who I would put in that category of being saved by a love of a people right here. She's definitely been a part of my time here at Tennessee Valley. And I asked her to share a story this morning that I won't provide too much context to because I think she's going to share some of it. But if you could just join me in welcoming Pat Bean.
Good morning. Ooh. It was an era of social unrest in 1966 when my husband Dan and I, with our baby son John, rented a house on Knowlton Drive across from Western Plaza, just a couple of miles down that way. On the back of our front door was taped a 3x5 card with these words: "I in no way consent for you to enter this house under the terms of that warrant, which I believe is invalid and unconstitutional." I had been instructed by Highlander's lawyer to read the statement, get my baby, and get out of the way should any authorities come to search the house. Here's the backstory. We had moved to Knoxville only a couple of months earlier for Dan to take a job at the University of Tennessee. That summer, when we left Fort Collins, Colorado, to come to Knoxville, I knew very little about East Tennessee. I did know that in addition to UT, Knoxville was the home of the Highlander Folk School. I had learned that from a college friend who had left Colorado State a couple of years earlier to join Martin Luther King in Selma, Alabama. We had stayed in touch, and over an expensive long-distance telephone call, he told me about Highlander after I told him the news of our move. And I'm looking at Gordon. Gordon knows who I'm talking about. He was in jail with him. After getting settled in Knoxville, we contacted Highlander and arranged a visit. I told a neighbor about our plans, and she was alarmed. It's very hard to remember how extremely controversial Highlander was in 1966, 59 years ago. My neighbor told me that I must not tell anybody else in the neighborhood and that she would keep our secret. On our first visit to Highlander, we met Reverend Conrad Brown, who was in charge of day-to-day operations, Miles Horton, the founder and director of Highlander, and Lois Kraft, secretary. Conrad, or Connie, as we came to know him, and Lois were members of TVUC, and soon so were we. We were also regulars at Highlander's weekend potlucks and sing-alongs led by Guy and Candy Carawan. These events followed week-long organizing workshops of civil rights and labor leaders, workers, and volunteers. Highlander was under relentless attack by the media, led by a prominent local politician who wanted to shut them down. It is hard to describe how controversial Highlander was in 1966. Knoxville is so very different now. When Highlander started experiencing repeated break-ins, they asked for help from law enforcement, and very little help was forthcoming. So to protect sensitive files, we were asked to hide them in our basement in our rental house. We were told it may involve risk, but we were new in town and under the radar, so to speak, and it was the right thing to do. No one ever came knocking at our door wanting to search the house. I don't remember how long we housed the files. But I do remember how pleasant it was to have frequent visits from Lois Craft. Eventually, the break-ins ebbed and the files went back to the Highlander Center. Over these many years, TVUUC has had close ties to Highlander, and I trust that will continue as together we resist. Thank you.
Now I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join us in singing our next hymn, As I Went Down to the River to Pray. The insert is in your order of service. Pat, thank you for sharing your story. That was so much better than I could have ever done. So the theme for this morning's service comes from a powerful African-American spiritual by the same name, well, slightly different name, A Balm in Gilead. The lyrics are rooted in a specific Christian context with references to Peter, Paul, and Jesus. The song's powerful metaphor teaches us that you don't have to have all the answers or be a perfect leader to make a difference. Your own authentic story is the healing gift you can offer the world. The balm in Gilead, as a metaphor, comes from the Hebrew Scriptures. All throughout the Hebrew Scriptures, the land of Gilead was known as this place that had this medicinal, almost magic balm or medicine that could heal pretty much anything. And so it became this notion of a cure-all that transcended not just the physical sense of healing, but also into the larger sense of societal healing. This is echoed in the book of Jeremiah, where the writer cries out, "Is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no physician here? Why then is there no recovery for the daughter of my people?" The spiritual that we sang answers with the divine hope. Yes, there is a balm in Gilead that makes the wounded whole. I take that powerful healing, balm in Gilead, as the great work of justice and love our world so desperately needs. It is the work of ending oppression, of caring for the planet, of building the beloved community. It is the profound systemic healing that we pray for. I see balm in Gilead as a society based on inclusion, fairness, and peace. Healing that we hope for all. A change that gets to the roots of our societal problems and personal hurts. It's not a quick fix. It's a profound, transforming power that aims to repair broken systems, bring relationships back together, and spark hope in everyone who hears its message. It's the promise of a future where justice is widespread, love is abundant, and the past wounds are finally healed through brave action and steady compassion. So, no big deal. And I got to thinking about all of that, and the way that my mind works sometimes, I can be a little irreverent. And I was trying to come up with an idea for this service, and the song was stuck over and over in my head. And I don't know of any other place where I know the word balm except for lip balm. And so if the balm in Gilead is this systemic, wide-sweeping, fundamental, paradigm-shifting, cultural, societal justice that we seek to build in the world, then I think I want to talk today about something that we might call the lip balm in Gilead. These are the small, immediate, personal ways that we care for ourselves and each other. The little things that soothe and sustain us. In a world often overwhelming, where grand gestures of healing and societal change are undeniably vital and needed, it's easy to overlook the profound power of the seemingly insignificant. Yet it is with these quiet, consistent acts of self-care and mutual support that true resilience is forged and comfort is found. Consider a stick of chapstick. It doesn't cure disease. It doesn't solve global crisis. But it provides enough instant relief to chapped lips and discomfort to allow one to speak, to smile, or to eat with ease. This mundane act might be a metaphor for the many small ways that we can tend to our own well-being and offer solace to those around us. It's the warm cup of tea that's offered to a weary friend, a moment of quiet meditation amidst a chaotic day, the encouraging word shared when someone is struggling, or the simple act of listening without judgment. A cheeky title like A Lip Balm in Gilead risks sounding irreverent to the sacred history of that spiritual. But in the same way, I think focusing on self-care can sometimes be frivolous, can sometimes be selfish, but if done with care and compassion and respect for its context, when faced with the world's overwhelming calamities, it is the fuel that powers the justice that we seek to build in the world. Sometimes after a difficult day at work, when the world seems cruel and the great work feels impossible, the most healing thing I can do sometimes is come home and find out where my cats are hiding. Sometimes pick them up against their will. But I might play with them. I might pet them. Small, furry, warm creature in my care. Being present and gentle with that small creature reconnects me with the larger sense of caring that the world needs. Similarly, I know a friend whose method of decompressing is to go into a dark room in her home and just sit in silence. She once told me that going to my dark place keeps me from going to a dark place. Perhaps it's similar to the quiet solitude of going down to the river to pray. Not with grand words, but just to listen to the water, to find your own center again. It reminds me of the story of Arepo, the farmer who built a tiny temple in his field. A God moved in, not a great God of harvest and storm, but a small God, a God of small things, of fallen leaves, of the skin of an apple, and a dozen different nothings. This small God could not stop the storms or the famines or the wars that raged and ravaged Arepo's life. But the farmer's daily practice of sitting with his small God and offering a few stalks of wheat or simply paying attention, that was the practice that gave his life beauty and meaning. Our own lip balms, petting a cat, cooking an omelet, and I'll talk about that one in a minute, growing a plant from seed, these are our offerings at the temple of small gods. Another way that I decompress is sometimes you spend so much time, and I don't know if you have this experience, but you spend so much time working towards a goal. You work and you work and you work, and you're working towards that goal, and you're working towards that goal, and you're working towards that goal, and it feels like that goal is never going to get here. You might be doing work that in fact you will never see the fruit. You will never reach that goal. And that can wear on your soul. So I make an omelet because it is a small, purposeful act of starting from relatively nothing and going to a meal, going from something, starting from all of the ingredients and going to a completed, finished product. These are how we honor the whole lot of heaven that Iris DeMent sings about. The divinity shining right here in our messy, everyday lives. These small, completable acts remind us that we are capable and that we can create order and care in our own small corner of the world. This practice of small joys does something else too. It reminds us of who we are. Our world often demands that we shrink or we conform. Our joy is a compass. As Andrea Gibson, whose voice we honored today with our opening words, taught beautifully, to be you is not only to be the guardian of your own spirit, but also to be the guardian of the spirits who mistakenly think their lives would be better if you would agree to be someone other than you are. Our lip balm, or how we guard our own spirit, the joy we find in gardening, in reading, collecting Pokemon cards, is not frivolous. And I say that not just because I want to justify buying Pokemon cards. It is the practice of remembering our own truth. As the poet reminds us, when we live in line with our own truth, we are doing a service for the entire universe. This is the question that the writer Ross Gay asks in Inciting Joy. How does this connect with the greater systemic healing? He wonders if joy is not the opposite of sorrow, but instead what emerges from us as we help each other carry out our heartbreaks. How cool would that be? Our joy is not a shield from the world's pain. It should not be an escape that allows us to hide from the work we need to do. It is the practice instead that gives us the strength to face that pain without being consumed by it. The joy we cultivate in our own lives builds the muscle of compassion that we need to show up for others. It is what makes our work and hands steady. And this community knows what steady hands can do. In a bunch of different ways, and in specifically Pat's reflection this morning, there are quiet and courageous acts that we can do to perpetuate and build the beloved community. Hiding the Highlander Center's archives from those who sought to destroy them, that is the capital B Balm in Gilead. It was not a loud sermon or a public prayer. It was risky, practical, and world healing. And it required a soul that was grounded, or souls in this case. It required a spirit that knew fundamentally why it was doing what it was doing. And if you know anything about Pat, when I think about Pat, what I think of is the weaver, the gardener, the lover of people. And I don't think of the person who hid the things in their basement. What comes to mind are the things that bring you joy. The small acts of lip balm are what give us the spiritual stamina for the great acts of the larger balm in Gilead. They are how we remember our truth, so that when the time comes to stand for another's truth, we are ready. They are how we practice joy, so that when we are called to carry another's heartbreak, we have the strength to do so. Perhaps the ultimate joy of work, of justice in our world, is to build a world where everyone has access to their own small joys. A world where every person is free to be the guardian of their own spirit. The balm in Gilead we work for in this world is where everyone can find their own lip balm and know that it is good. So our challenge this morning is not to use our self-care to hide from the world, but it is also not to feel guilty about it, but to embrace it, to see it not as escape, but as a doorway. It is the way we discover who we are so that we can help others be who they are. It is the fuel that allows us to be both gentle with ourselves and angry for the world as we do the sacred work of making the wounded whole. May it be so.
You are invited to please rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn number 170 in the gray hymnal, "We Are a Gentle, Angry People."
Let's sing all 6 verses.
Sing for our
This week, I invite you to go out and find your God of a million nothings. Go out and find your own lip balm that helps you do the work of healing the sin-sick soul and making the wounded whole. May it be so. As our last act of worship, I invite you to turn and greet your neighbor.
I'm Jesse. I'm Dan. Good to meet you.